Hi everyone, this is Joy with Create It with Joy. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's card is made using a bunch of Tim Holtz products, from one of them being his Stamptember 2019 stamp set with Stampers Anonymous. Really awesome images, so let's get started. So first I'm starting off with this Cauldron die. It's a Tim Holtz through Sizzix Cauldron die. I cut that out of black cardstock, and I'm going to do a little bit of aging with some Distress Oxide inks. I am going to be using Carved Pumpkin, Rusty Hinge, and Black Soot. And I'm spritzing it on. I've got it in my little box here. And I'm just taking my heat tool and just doing a little bit of drying in between, because I don't really want the colors to muddy, and it dries really super fast. So I've laid down some of those orange colors, and then I'm going to be laying down the black soot. Shake up your Distress Oxide sprays really good, and it is a messy job, so be prepared to have it all over your hands. You definitely will be colored. So now you can see it just looks a little worn and torn, which is the look that I was going for. Now, I have cut this mask out of some Yupo paper because it's plastic on a piece of watercolor cardstock. I was inspired by Stacy Hutchinson, and I will have a link to her down below, but for this Stamptember 2019 release of Tim Holtz picture, this is what she did. She laid down a die cut circle, and then she sprayed it with some Distress Oxide inks. I did it in Mowed Lawn, Carved Pumpkin, Shaded Lilac, and Black Soot. Now I took it out of the box, and I am just spritzing a little bit of water onto it to get some reaction out of the Distress Oxide sprays. And now I'm taking my heat tool and just drying it a little bit, adding a little bit more water here and there where you can see the splotches. I kind of wanted that to meld together a little bit more. So if you check out Stacy Hutchinson, her cards were stunning for this. Mine did not turn out nearly as beautiful as hers, but I definitely was inspired by her. So this is really, really fun and easy to do. So you've got this look of this moon, and you've got the color kind of seeping into it, and it just got this really fun, grungy Halloween look. I just kind of wiped up the excess water that wasn't drying. Getting that really good and dry, and then we're going to move on to the next step. So now in the Stamptember kit, this stencil came, and so you have all of these stars. So I am taking some, it's Distress, what was it? It's a Distress paste. I can't remember what it is, but I will have it in the link below. And I put a little bit of the Shaded Lilac in it, mixed it up on my Tim Holtz glass media mat, and I am taking it over one part of the stencil where it has a bunch of these stars. I am laying it out so it will go over the moon. This is a white, this is not a clear, this is like a white distress paste. Scraping off the excess, we're going to lift that up, and I'm going to set that aside to dry. It just has a very light purple color to it, which is what I wanted, and I just think it turned out so good. Then I'm going to use Tim Holtz Rock Candy Glitter and put that on top for that to dry. So now we're going to stamp out these images from the Stamptember 2019 release. And it's the crow and the bottle with the eyeball. And I'm going to do two bottles. And I'm using Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink because I will be doing some Copic coloring for these images. So I'm just going to stamp this little eyeball again. And it does have the sentiments down at the bottom, but you can cut that off. I am going to fussy cut around these images anyways, so I don't need to keep those images there. So now I'm going to be doing some Copic coloring, and I'm going to be starting with E35 and E59, and this is for the top, like the little cork piece in this bottle. I'm going to be coloring both of those. And I'm going to be coloring one bottle with a green eye and one bottle with a blue eye. What's great about these kinds of stamps that already have like the shading detail already, if you're a person that has a hard time understanding the shading and things like that, these are great images because it's already laid out for you, and you can put the darker colors of your markers where the shading is already naturally on these images. So I think it actually is a huge positive that way, and is super, super helpful. So again, if you're someone who struggles with that, think about maybe getting some of these images and start coloring those, and that might be something that helps you. Okay, so I am going to be using YG 21 and 25 and G14 for the green on this green bottle. And I'm going to be using R37 for the little blood vessel veins in the eyes, because you do want these red veins to stand out because it's creepy Halloween, and that only makes sense. The next one that we work on in just a minute will be blue. Oh, I did take a W1 marker and just kind of went over. On this images, there's lots of little lines, and I kind of went around the edges with a W1, a 3, and a 4 to kind of give it more of a gray tone around. And then as you can see, I did the blue eyeball exactly the same. For the blue, I did a BG10 around in like where the water would be, if that makes sense. Okay, so now for the crow, I'm going to be using C4, 6, and 8. C4 is the lightest, so I'm laying that color down, and then I'm going to go in with C8, and I'm just following where all the natural shading is, all the dark parts. I might add in a couple more that I want, but that is exactly what I'm following because the artist who drew this was fantastic. So there was no need to really change too much or add anything different. And then I will take the C6 and blend that out a little bit further, and that's what I'm doing now. And then I will go back with the C4 and blend all of that together. Once that's done, I usually go back with the darker C8 and add a little bit, because it blended out a little, so I wanted still a little bit, a little more dark spots, if that makes sense. So I'm going to add those in and around onto the legs. Here I'm adding that C8 again, adding a few more just to give a little more contrast. But isn't that crow? I think he's actually quite cute. I don't think he's spooky at all. He's kind of funny to me. And then I'm adding a little bit of W1 to the eyes, just so it's not so stark white. Adding those red veins. And doesn't that make a huge difference on the eyeball? Because I had left that one blank and it didn't look as good. Finishing up those guys, and like I said, I'm going to cut them out with scissors and take a black marker around the edge to finish it off so you don't see any white cardstock. Now that that's done, I'm going to adhere. I trimmed down my inked up piece just a 1/4 inch on each side and not on the top and the bottom. And I adhered that to a piece of Cardstock Warehouse. I think it's their limeade, their green limeade cardstock, but it's in their autumn cardstock pack. And I adhered that to that so it can have a tiny bit of a frame. Put some foam tape behind the cauldron and behind this crow, and a little bit of liquid glue on his foot. And he's going to be sitting on this cauldron in front of the moon. Then I'm going to take these bottles and adhere those to the front. A little bit of tape runner and foam tape to pop up, so that blue one in front will also have some more dimension. So this card has a really good amount of dimension. Okay, so now I wanted this to look like it was bubbling over. So I am using Honeybee Stamps Crystal Bubbles and Small Clear Dewdrops. Now these crystal bubbles are open in the center, and you use just a liquid glue that dries clear, so you're not even going to see any of that once it dries. And then I'm going to be using some Nuvo crystal drops in apple green and woodland green, because I wanted some green to be coming out of this cauldron, because it is a witch's cauldron and it needs to be spooky and bubbly and way fun. So this color has this green theme to it. You also could do purples, and that would be a lot of fun too. So just putting a few dots here and there, actually not a ton of that, because I really liked the crystal bubbles and the clear dewdrops. Isn't that fun? Doesn't it look like that's bubbling over? Now I'm going to take some glossy accents to the eyes of the bird and to the bottles with the eyeballs in it, which I would have to say made a huge difference. I did a few clear drops around the cauldron as well, But on these bottles, it totally makes them look like glass. I mean, it is the most fantastic thing. If you're going to add any more white highlights with your white gel pen, I did that before because I forgot I was adding glossy accents. Once the glossy accents dries, add that white gel pen to the top of glossy accents because it kind of hides it if it's underneath. But then it's super cute and looks like glass. And that will dry clear. Right now it's a little milky, but it will dry clear. But doesn't that look fantastic? I had so much fun. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I really hope that you enjoyed this fun Halloween card. If you like what you've seen, please thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with your crafty friends, and please continue to comment because I love talking with you guys. I have some affiliate links below. It costs you nothing, but it continues to help me. Bye!